Hey, this is Jesse with Create This. Today we are going to be replacing the valve stem on this dual faucet bathroom fixture. So, I don't know if you can see that or not, but we have a leak. I believe it's this. Yeah, you can kind of hear that when I tighten up on that, the sound changes quite a bit. So usually you can tell which faucet it is by just putting your hand under it and feeling whether it's hot or cold. In this case, this one's pretty cold. I replaced one of these last year, so this is 2020, July. I replaced one of these in 2019 in July. So, but I don't remember whether it was the hot or the cold. So if it's the cold, then it is broken again in less than a year, which means that maybe I used the wrong part or inferior materials. If it was the hot, then that would mean that, you know, probably they were both replaced at the same time years ago, and this one just went out soon. So anyway, we'll see. So the first step here is I'm going to turn off the water to the house. All right, so this is a pretty old house. They clearly had a copper pipe coming in, but it's been replaced with CPVC. So I'm just going to turn off this mains circuit here. I'm sure at some point I will have to replace this shut-off valve, but thankfully in the 10 years that I've been in this house, I haven't had to yet. So there we go. Water should be off to the house. Okay, now that the water is off to the house, the next step is to kind of drain the lines. So I'm just going to turn that on. Let whatever residual pressure is in the system come out. Open up the faucet to the sink next to the tub too. And the next step is going to be so all of these are a little different. All of these faucets are a little different, but for this particular one, the next step is going to be to remove the cap on those knobs there. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and it's a little hard to find sometimes, but there's like a little flat spot usually where you can kind of wedge a screwdriver in there and pop these things off. I don't remember exactly where this one is. I just kind of have to manhandle it. Depends. There you go. Comes right off. That's what it looks like. And so underneath that, you've got a Phillips head screw. So we're going to take a Phillips head screwdriver and just remove that guy. Be careful you don't lose this down the drain. Set that aside. And now that just comes right off. I don't know how these are pronounced. Sorry. Shoein or something. I don't know. Probably butchering that. Anyway, they just screw right off. All right, and for the next step, we're going to have to get the valve stem out. And so for that step, you need a special tool. This is a Cobra Products PST141 shower valve socket wrench set. I highly doubt that this is a professional quality tool that a plumber would use. It's probably just a cheap Chinesium home grade tool. It's only about 16, 17 bucks on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. I'll have a link to it down below the video in the description. I highly recommend getting one of these because they make the job quite a bit easier. So what we do is, it's got this little hook on it. You just ease off the hook. There's your wrench, comes with its own wrench. And then you got to figure out which one of these works. So I'm going to dump them all out. It's probably the smaller one. So there's two nuts here. There's the one on the inside and the one on the outside. I think I'm going to take off both of them for this. I don't remember what I did last time, but they both look like they're fairly new. I'm betting this is the one that I replaced. So probably just had either a product failure or maybe I did something wrong when I installed it. I'm not sure. All right, so break that free. May need a cheater bar. Might help you break that free. All You may also need to get a chisel and chip around here to widen the hole a little bit. I think I had to do that last time, but you have to be real careful with that because you can crack the tile. I've got a crack right here, I think. Probably got another one hidden by the fascia there. Tile breaks real easy. Okay, so there's the end of my valve. This is clearly why it failed. The rubber gasket material broke, and so that caused a failure of the valve. So I will attempt to see if I have another valve gasket there, because I think they call that a seat gasket, but I'm not sure. Because that's probably all that's wrong with this piece. So let me go looking around and see if I've got one. But otherwise, I'll have to. I think I bought this from Ace Hardware. I'll have to buy another one from Ace. We'll see. Okay, so I went to Ace and they did not have what I was looking for. It was the only faucet stem that was out. Out of stock. So I ended up going to Home Depot and they had what I needed. So this ended up being a Pfister 910374. I believe the alternative term for that, a lot of different people will make this. I believe Home Depot also may have a Danco 12H 2HC stem for Pfister tub and faucet. The important thing to note is just that, let's see if I can get in there. The important thing to note is just that the dimensions are the same. They should look pretty much identical when you hold them up next to each other. You know, be careful to note that it has the same gaskets in the same places, because there's a whole wall of valve stems that you can look at, and they all look different and they'll have different labeling on them. So just try to get something that's dimensionally as similar as you can. So once you use these for a while, you can see that the seat gaskets start looking a little different. You can see there's a ring on that one versus the new one is just a flat plate. So that should kind of give you an idea what those would look like if you're looking for a replacement gasket. The other thing is I would highly recommend that you inspect the seat inside there. So the seat looks like this. It's a little piece that screws in there. And I think that the reason why mine keeps failing is because I think that my seat has been nicked. So I'm going to replace my seat. I believe the last time I bought one of these at Ace, it came with a seat, but this time it did not come with a seat. I had to buy it separate. So hopefully I got the right one. When you install a seat, you need a seat wrench. Again, I got this at Home Depot. I will list an item on Amazon in case you're curious, or in case you want to stock up on tools before you start your project. That would be a wise thing to do. Okay, so they have two different kinds of wrenches. One has kind of a tapered end and the other one has these square ends. I believe for mine, we're going to be using the square ends, and there are small square ends and large square ends. So that looks like it fits pretty well. So we're just going to insert this in here. And hope that it comes right out. So this is kind of what I was worrying about, because this thing has these tapered ends. I don't think that it seats properly in my seat. I think you know, the end of this kind of bottoms out on the back of the faucet. So I'm going to try to break this free. We'll see what happens. A little worried I'm going to strip it, but we'll see. Man, that seems to be real. It's moving, but it's moving real slow. I think it's coming out though. Okay, good. There we go. And there's our seat. Okay, And it looks to me like there is pipe dope on there of some kind, maybe Teflon. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to kind of clean out some of this stuff. A little bit of that came out too. All right, let's get the new one. Well, first, before we get the new one, let's make sure the old one and the new one are pretty much the same thing, and it looks like they are. It's pretty identical. So, same depth. Yeah, I think that's going to work fine. All right, so I don't know how well this comes across with this lens, but right on this side, there's a little bit of a blemish on the old seat, and I believe that is what has been tearing up my gaskets. So the new one is pristine. I don't see any blemishes on the new one, so hopefully putting that new one in will have it last a little longer. All right, so I have taken some Teflon tape and put it on the end there. I actually tried to cut the Teflon tape down the length so that it wasn't quite as wide, and it's still a little wide. I think I read somewhere that people recommend pipe dope for this. That's probably why. Maybe it's also because if you get it on the back, it's problematic. I don't know, but I'm going to try Teflon because it's all I've got. So let's see. I am not a professional plumber. I'm just a guy trying to fix his old crappy house. Okay, so we're going to put that on the end of our wrench and gently put it in there. Try not to cross thread it. Hopefully it'll start threading on. Yeah, tell you, I am strongly considering taking a hacksaw to this and cutting off the back part because I feel like it's getting in the way. It's causing a problem. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut that off. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, because my wrench is too long and it's bottoming out inside my fixture, I'm gonna cut off this first square. I still want a little bit of, protrusion there just so that I can, get my valve seat on there and not have it slide off too easily. But sometimes you gotta modify a tool in order to get the right result. So put that in the vise. All right. Basic hacksaw, no big deal. All right. Now I have a nice little Chinesium cube. Cool. And just to kind of get rid of sharp edges, I'm gonna use a file on it next. Try not to skid my knuckles. Do that all the time. That's gonna bleed. Feel around for burrs. Feels okay. All right, hopefully that works a little better. Let's try that again. All right, let's see if this works a little better now that it doesn't have quite as much length to bottom out. Yeah, there we go, perfect. Much, much better. Highly recommend doing that if you're having trouble with that like I was. All right, there we go. That's tight. Right there. I think you probably just want it to be snug. Now we should be able to pretty much reinstall this. Just kind of hand thread that in. Use a tool. There we go. Tighten it up. Reinstall whatever this is called. There we go. And reinstall the valve, and I'm just gonna kind of open it and close it a few times. Yeah, feels pretty good. Hopefully that works. Feels okay to me. All right, so next we're gonna reinstall our screw. Right there. Bada bing, bada boom. Pop our little plastic cap right back in. Okay, and now it should be time to test with actual water. So let me turn these off and I'll go turn on the water. All right, house supply is back on. Moment of truth. Look at that. That's a beautiful thing. All right, so it is maybe an hour later, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. I don't know how long it took to stop dripping, but it is no longer dripping. So, and I seem to remember that that's the way this particular faucet operated before the last time when I fixed it. So I'm going to go ahead and call it fixed for now. There may be something else that's wrong with this faucet. It's old, it's from the 80s. There might be something else going on that I don't understand, but if it continues to drip, I will strip it back down. I'll maybe take that valve seat out and replace the Teflon tape with pipe dope or something like that. But you know, I'm pretty happy with that. For now, it's not leaking. It takes a little while to stop leaking after you've turned it on. It drips for a little while, but I don't know, maybe it's just a weird design and it's got some, like a reservoir in the piping somewhere. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but it's not dripping now, so that's all that matters. So, hope you found this video interesting or useful. As I said before, all of the products that I used here will be listed down below the video in the description. If you have any questions or comments, particularly if you are a more experienced plumber than I am. I'm just an amateur. I maintain my house, my old 1920s house. If you know more about this than I do and you have some advice for me or, you know, some tips, tricks, anything like that, please, by all means, leave me a comment down below. I'm pretty receptive to those. I'm here to learn just as much as everybody else. So, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.